This is Professor Triplet, and we are on step 2 of modeling the lamp. Let's go ahead and get started. This piece right here is a little bit tough to tell from the picture, but because I own the lamp, I know what's going on with it. I'm going to go ahead and just isolate this this plane right here. So just hit Control 1, that'll isolate your plane. You can see there's like this kind of rounded lip, and this is indented a little bit, and of course there's the writing that would be done in texture, and we're gonna have to go ahead and make that, and I like to do that again with a curve. I think it's kind of the easiest way for me to do it, because the fact that if you look here, this curves down and under. So I could easily do that with a plane and then, you know, extrusions and bevels and stuff, but I think it would actually be easier just to draw a curve and let it be done. So I'm going to keep starting my curves from this side where the measurements are, because of the fact that the UVs, I want the UVs to keep being consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my curve tools and Bezier curve. That's what I like to work with. And I'm going to start off about right here. And again, we're running into the problem where we can't see our curve, so let's put X-ray on. And I'm going to just drop a few curves here, or a few curve points, like so. And let's go ahead and just do something like that. And I'm going to try to make this one nice and level. There we go. Okay, now this I want to bring to the center. So if I go ahead and just turn on wireframe and shaded, I'll be able to see where I have the center here. And actually, let's see if we can see the grid through that. That's okay. We'll just put it right there, like so. And then I'll just hit W, and let's go ahead and lock these planes again as a reference. And then I'll go to the control vertice, and what I'm going to do here is I want to actually snap it to that vert, and you can go ahead and just hold V, and actually the V only snaps to actual verts and polys, so that doesn't work for this case. So actually I'm going to do this a different way. I'm just going to grab both of these and actually scale these two together, so then it levels them off. I tried the other way first. I wanted to see if it would actually snap to it, but if you snap the curve, it might, so you would hold C on your keyboard. But I don't know if it's going to actually grab that one control point. So let's just move this up a little bit, like this, just like that. Okay, so for this one, we're going to basically use the same technique that we used before, and we're going to go ahead and do a revolve. And let's go ahead and go back to our object mode. There we go. Okay, so let's see here, surface, revolve. Now I'm going to keep the settings the same as before, which was just changing it to polygon, and which is over here, polygons, general, quads, and then this bottom one right here. So this should give me basically the same number of divisions that's on this one. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. See what we got, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this shaded. Okay, so it's going the wrong direction. That's okay. It's really easy to fix. All we have to do is go to mesh display and reverse. Now it's facing the way we want. I'm going to isolate this. Object mode, Control 1 to isolate it. Okay, so the important thing with this is that I don't want to leave a pole in the middle like this that has all of these edges coming into it. So I'm going to give you a term that I use. It's called quadify. I'm going to quadify the bottom here. I don't even know if that's a real term, but I'm using it. So let's just grab all these faces and let's delete those out. And I'm actually going to go to the edges here, double click on it so you get the whole thing, and I'm just going to scale it back a little bit like so, and then I'm going to go ahead and cap this. So if you go into the poly tools, Actually, I have my own poly tools, which is fill hole basically. I said cap. Other programs might call it cap, but fill hole is in mesh. So you just go here, mesh, fill hole. All right. So now, of course, this is an n-gon. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is go to a bottom view, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my verts so I can see this better. I have hotkeys set up for my verts, so I'm just hitting the hotkeys. Use my cut tool, and I'm just going to cut from here to here, like so. Hit enter, and then I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing that. And this may seem a little tedious, but it's important to have your UVs, or for your UVs, that they're laid out right, and it's important if you're going to smooth this thing that it's laid out right. So basically, I just make the cut, and then I go ahead and just hit enter on my keyboard. At this point, I'm going to find the center line, which I think is right here. I'm going to go ahead and cut across here as well. So let's just start doing this. We'll make sure we stay even and balanced. Okay, so now I know, like I said, it seems tedious, but I do want to see this kind of layout on flat surfaces that are round. It's pretty important because leaving poles in there looks pretty amateurish. If you're modeling and no one's ever going to see your, if no one's ever going to see it, no one's ever going to notice that you had, you know, a pole in there, you can leave it there if it was a flat surface that wasn't going to be smooth or something. But the moment you start smoothing stuff, and you know, or you want to show off your wireframe, you know, then you don't want to leave stuff like that. So it just takes a minute. And then what I can do is I can actually, if I need to cap something else and it has the same amount of size, I can just actually use this and duplicate this bottom piece off and then just place it on something else. So here you'll see. Okay, so now we've got a nice even mesh on the bottom. But what I want to do is get out of that tool, and I'm going to grab all these verts, and then I'm going to come up to average verts, which average verts is in edit mesh and average verts. You can hit it there, or I have one on my bar too. And then I'm just going to keep hitting G. Actually, I'm going to turn the iterations up, so let's turn up the iterations a little bit, and then I'm just going to hit G, and I'm going to average them out a few times. So they're basically just balanced across this whole surface. And you can see that I'm doing this a lot because I want it to be nice and even. So that's kind of crazy. So what I want to do right now is go back to my object mode, and let's just delete the history so we don't have this huge stack of history in here. And we have all these cuts too. We don't really need that, so let's just get rid of all those. Okay, so now we've got this nice piece. One thing I'm going to look at really quick is if I'm asking myself, do I really need this many segments going around the base here? And you know what, for right now I think I'll just leave it alone. It's fine. You know, if you're going to put this in a game model, it'd be way lower poly anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it at this point. I'm a game artist traditionally, so I'm always thinking poly counts. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do the UVs while we're here, because this one's like really easy to do the UVs on, so I'm not going to separate this out into a different video. So let's just bring our UV editor out. You can see, of course, you know, it looks nice and balanced because we did this with the NURBS, but there's actually, this is completely incorrect at this point. So what we want to do is put this on, and then we're just going to use, I'll show you where it is in the regular menu. We're just going to use this planar project, and it's projecting from the wrong direction, and I think we need to turn it on the X. I could be wrong about that. Is it the Z? Oh, all right. One more thing I forgot. Let's change this. The projection width and height, I like it to be the same. So I'm going to make that 12, like so. So now you can tell, like, this is looking correct. What this was doing was stretching the projection to the edges of the 0 to 1 space. Let me do that 90 again on the X. There we go. That's what we're looking for. That's the reason why it looked funny, was because this was still, my projection width and height was not square. It wasn't uniform. Okay, so now that we've got that, like so, I'm going to go ahead and do an unfold on it. So let's go ahead and just turn on our distortion. You can see, like, it's not showing any distortion, but what I know is that there's overlap going on. So I think one of these buttons shows overlap now. Let's see. Wireframe, shaded. I'm surprised it's not a default, but I'm pretty sure there's an overlap button now, but I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to select all these polys. I know they're overlapping, and I can either hit unfold, but let me go ahead and pull the actual tool out. Let's go ahead and just hit reset, and I'm going to just do the actual unfold 3D. It should work just fine. Okay, great. So you can see it went ahead and pulled those things that were that were crossing over, that were overlapping, and pulled them out. Now, in the new Maya 2018, you can go ahead and you can go into, let's see, I think it's in here. I was playing around with all these things because they're pretty new. Let me see if I find this, because I forgot where this is. Yeah, here we go. I think it's over here. Let me orient shell. Okay, it's not working right. Let me do that again. Does it change? Okay, because what I want is I want this thing to go straight up and down. You can see it's angled right now. Let me just get my my rotate tool out. I'm gonna hold J on my keyboard, and it should snap in increments. Okay, you can see it. It's not perfect. Let's just do it by hand then. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but I like it. It's nice if it's straight up and down. Okay, that's fine. And if you remember, I had that other piece that was right here, and I'm not worried about arranging them so much right now. I'm just gonna like make sure I don't cover that other piece by moving it somewhere else. Okay, so that's it. That's how we would do this piece and the UVs. Pretty simple. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna save the file at this point. It's a good time to save the scene. And let's see. Actually, I'm going to cancel that. I forgot. So I have that was the startup scene. So let me save it in an increment. So I'll go ahead and just, what I like to do is actually, I'll put like an underscore, and then I'll put like bottom cap or something, which I didn't name this thing yet. So that's what I'll be naming it. Let's go ahead and do that. So I know, that way I know what step I was on when I save this. So let me go ahead and, I'm going to actually, what I like to do is name it the noun first, so cap underscore bottom. So the descriptor comes second. That way, because if I'm looking for it, I'm not going to look for bottom. I'm going to look for cap, or I'm going to look for base or something. But this is not that. This piece won't have that many parts to it, so it's not like we have to worry about it. But when you're doing something that has a lot of stuff, a lot of parts, sometimes you want to go ahead and make sure you name it accordingly so you can find it later if you need. All right, there we go. So now we've got that taken care of. And again, I'll hide this, Control H, and it's always there in case I need it. All right, this part's done. Thanks for watching.